Hi, it's Tom. I'm back aboard Seahorse and just to introduce today's video. So I'm going to be looking at my fairly clever little super low cost high tech Navdesk setup and also my Raspberry Pi. My boat is powered by a Raspberry Pi, so I'm going to go through um, where I've got to with that and give you an update. Also on some of the other projects I'm working on. And at the end, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've tried and have failed. It's always good to try new stuff, and sometimes it doesn't work. So thanks for watching, and do like and subscribe. I really need to get a few more views and a few more hours and a few more subscribers. That'll be super helpful with the YouTube algorithm. So welcome, and here comes the video. It's Tom from Selling Seahorse. I'm back aboard Seahorse, and I'm just finishing up working on my my Navdesk. So here I have a very low cost, very professional chart system and boat instruments at my Navdesk. So I have two second-hand phones, a 3-year-old phone, a 5-year-old phone, and a laptop display converted into a desktop display. So this is all super low power, uses just over 2 watts, and I'm running some open source software and one free version of a paid app. So this is running NEMA dashboard. This is running NEMA dashboard. This is windy, looking at the weather for the next few days coming up over the UK. This is OpenCPN, looking at the Clyde. You can see me. I am just up in this corner in the harbour. I've got a couple of problems with my engines. I think I need to replace a couple of my starter batteries. I'm here for a few more days. So this runs off a low-cost 12-volt to USB-C ×2, I think, and it's currently being charged on shore power. So this is currently at 14.4 volts. So this will also run off my Bluetti box, and it'll run on my lead-acid batteries. So, and it'll also run by itself. Each of these has 2 batteries, and this one is powerful enough to also run the screen for a few hours. So this is the display part of my chart desk, my Navdesk, and it's going to be all of my interactions and controlling all the boat pieces and showing all the data behind this cabinet, which used to be where my TV was. So I have got an opening cabinet, and behind there is going to be my Raspberry Pi. So this is the back end of the my system. You've seen the front end running on phone technology, old phones. This is the back end. So this is a Raspberry Pi, which has a few disadvantages. One is it's not marinized, so if it gets any salt water, it's an open circuit board. It's just going to be destroyed. So what I've done is I have got a whole lot of pigtail cables which plug into it, and then have potted connectors through the thing with a nice rubber gasket. So these will allow it to be fully waterproofed. And then I have a waterproof box with a silicon gasket around the inside, and that's clamped firmly on top and gives me a waterproof Raspberry Pi. Now, because it's a Raspberry Pi 5 and it's got a heatsink little fan, it does get a bit hot, so I'm going to underclock it, which will both save me power, and I don't need the full bandwidth of it for what I'm running. I'm running basically Signal K using Open Marine. And this tech will allow me to basically receive all of my NEMA devices from my existing 1997 technology boat equipment, including wind instruments, depth, speed, and then augment that with things like my own GPS, which is running off a little puck. So this is a GPS puck. Plugs in through USB into the device, and I can also run AIS. So I have a software-defined radio, an RTL SDR. This is a very nice bit of tech that allows me to receive the entire frequency band from about a few kilohertz up to 2.5, 2.6 gigahertz, and not only can I receive any frequency, I can also receive a big chunk of frequency, so I can monitor multiple radio channels simultaneously. So this will be using the OpenMarine software, which is an OS version, which is on an SD card. I'm going to probably replace that with a little SSD hat, just for reliability and performance, but testing it with the SD card. And OpenMarine gives you a full suite of Unix, Linux boat navigation software, including OpenCPN, Signaled K, Node-RED, and allows me to interconnect all my existing instruments to this, and then transmit them out to Wi-Fi, to my tablet, to my phones, to the phones that are running my UI on my Navdesk, and also using Bluetooth Low Energy to this device, which is a little bit of Chinese tech again, which is using a screen off a watch, but reconfigured to run CircuitPython, and has a rotary convert dial and touchscreen and button and an NFC reader. So this is not an NFC from one of my projects I was doing for USAID, which got cancelled due to the new slightly scary government in America. They cancelled my project completely. So I was working on goats diseases education using mobile phones. It was all programmed by these devices. So you just touch this on the device and it would lock it into a goat disease display. So I had lots of local actors producing goat disease videos, and then in Swahili, and then distributing it to subsistence farmers, which was a very worthy thing to do. It was working really well, but it all got cancelled. So it's not running now. So that will be one of these in each cabin. It's going to show key boat data like wind direction, speed, and depth, and time. And then it will also allow you to control the lights, so turn the lights, white lights up, turn the lights down, further turn the red lights up, and it'll also be an alarm for your watch. So if you touch your card, it can program and read these cards. Then it will be showing when your watch starts. It's got a little alarm in it beeping to tell you, get ready, your watch is starting in 5 minutes, and giving you a countdown, and then sort of just nudging you to get up and take over your watch. And it's hard to get up at 3 a.m. sometimes. So that piece of tech, very low power, and that's going to connect via BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy, possibly through a Home Assistant gateway, and possibly through a let me find it. Possibly through one of these. This is a ESP32 with a screen and battery. It also runs off USB, and that will be acting as a bridge for Bluetooth Low Energy, super low power, and that will talk to all of these, and that will allow you to control the lighting through the physical switch or through the device. And I have one in each cabin, and that will be sort of my boat data network, and because it uses Bluetooth Low Energy, very low power. And then I have a few other things. So this is a rather interesting device. So it's a AES transmitter from China again, and it's designed for tracking fishing nets that are floating out at sea. So you put down your fishing nets, you put these on the buoys, and it will transmit their AES. It's got GPS, AS, A and B transmitter, and an AES implementation. And I am reprogramming one of these. They cost about £40-50. Reprogram about $60. I'm reprogramming one of these to be an AES transmitter for my boat. So I just strap it to the rails. You need to charge it once a month. So just plug it and charge it. It's got lithium batteries, fairly self-reliant, and it will ping out my AES position depending on my movement, direction. It's got GPS. It works out compass with the GPS. It works out speed, and it transmits that heading over AES channel A or channel B. And it's not sure if I am allowed to use it. It's a little bit bleeding edge, and it's a new piece of AES technology. They're setting up a new channel for things like this. So I'm going to reprogram this to be a traditional boat AES, not a buoy and not a fishing buoy AES. So that's coming. I'll be testing that at some point out at sea. And then I had a few failures, which is kind of interesting. So I think I showed this on a previous, and this is an air mouse, and I was controlling my Raspberry Pi. This, you just pointed at the screen, moved around, the cursor moves around, you can click, you can just volume and stuff and open menus. And it's also got a little keyboard on the back, so you can type in passwords and searches and stuff and look for Netflix films and YouTube. And this I tested at sea. I didn't video it, unfortunately, because it was kind of rough. And what happens is you hold this straight, the mouse will in the dock, the mouse will stay in the same position on the screen on DEX. But when you're at sea, the boat is moving sort of like this and like this. And so you hold this still, and the mouse cursor does the movement of the boat because it's detecting this is moving. So you can't really click on anything. So that was a bit of a fail. So I'm going to use this maybe just in harbour and some backup, but that was a fail. The other thing that failed was this, which is a color e-paper tablet running Android, and I broke it. So it wasn't robust enough. I give it a good press, just change something, and it broke the screen. Now the screen does not update. So you can see that was a bit of a failure. It was very low cost, about £60 from China, and it runs Android, and it runs a very good copy of sort of Chrome browser. So I was running boat navigation tools in HTML over this, and it was updating using the e-paper and the color, and it was very low power, very readable screen, and a good piece of boat display tech, but not robust enough. So that's back to the drawing board. So I'm going to be maybe looking for a new one of these, but it's called a MeBook SRRC, whatever that means, and definitely not fit for using on boats. So fail. So those are my two fails. I have got a few other things I'm doing. So I'm also working on some open source watch technology, and that will use the Bluetooth low energy, the same piece that's transmitting boat data, this to receive boat data anywhere on the boat. So I can look on my watch and find out, okay, wind is increasing, anchor's dragging, my speed, direction and stuff, and I have that, and I can also get alerts. I need to reef on my little watch. So that's another interesting piece of tech. So someone has bought a whole lot of Chinese watches with very poor software, removed the software and put on some open source software which runs JavaScript as a watch OS. So it's a native JavaScript watch that allows you to program it very easily, and it supports Bluetooth low energy. It's got an always-on color screen, has about 1 month battery life, and it's got a heart rate sensor and things. So I'm going to build a boat-specific software for this, which will show me all the boat data and also alert me to things just by buzzing on my wrist. So that is up and coming. Yeah, so I'm going to be busy working on this for the next few months, and I'll be doing hopefully now weekly videos and showing progress, and I will go through some of the sort of setup, how to install OpenMarine, how to configure OpenMarine, and I'll do some sailing videos as well. So I have a little 32-foot catamaran, two double cabins, one single, bathroom, a head, shower, kitchen or galley, and a big saloon on the bridge deck. And I have a very interesting rigging. So I've got it was a very low cost 1997 built boat, but I have a carbon fiber rotating mast on it with a forward boom and a rear boom and a self tacker on the forward boom. So it's got a self balancing sail setup. So I can control, great for single handling. I can do all points of sail by one line, and I'll be talking a lot about this when I get out sailing in the next few weeks. And yeah, it's unstayed, it's carbon rotating mast, very nice piece of tech, and I've been very happy with it so far. I'm still learning how to sort of sail with it optimally, how to jibe it comfortably, and how to not get stuck when I'm doing a tack. Catamarans are not good at pointing upwind, so it's fairly easy to get stuck and then just drift for a few minutes until you get back into the wind. So I'm working on my tacking. The secret is to build up some speed and then tack don't try and tackle your current heading. Yes, get as fast as you can, then do the tack while you've got some momentum to carry you through. But I'll be talking about that. My little catamaran is a Solaris Sunstar 32, and there's quite a few videos I've made. I do a lot of hiking and traveling, so I've made some videos on that, and I've got there'll be more and more videos on my boat, and then I plan to take the boat next spring down to the Mediterranean and do a loop of the Mediterranean, probably avoiding a lot of the countries on the south side, which are a little bit dodgy, and then ending up in Turkey for the winter, and then doing maybe 1 year cruising Turkey coast, cruising Greek coast, backwards and forwards, because I have visa problems being British. Britain is no longer part of Europe. We've unfortunately disconnected ourselves from Europe, so I can only stay there for short amounts of time. And then, depending on how I get on with that, I may cross the Atlantic to the Caribbean, do a circuit of the Caribbean, and then Panama Canal, Pacific, and see where I end up. I am single-handing at the moment, so if anyone wants to join me for sailing, I've got 2 double cabins, plenty of space. Just drop me a message in the comments, and I'll message you back on a direct message. So I'm looking for people who have 6 months free time and money to cover their basic living costs. I won't be charging rent, but I expect someone to contribute to fuel and food. This will be more expensive anyway, but I can do a lot more long sails and stuff if I have someone to help with watches and someone to talk to. So anyway, that's where I'm and then I'm back on my boat pretty much full time. And yeah, thanks for watching, and do subscribe, do share, do like. I'm almost monetized, and another few hundred subscribers, and I should be monetized, and another few hundred viewing hours. So definitely subscribe and like. It'll be really helpful for me. I'm planning to build up a community on here, so when I'm sailing, I can always have people to meet up with when I land in a strange port, and people to go out sailing with. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed. Do leave comments. I love reading comments, and yeah, more next week. Thank you. I've added a few more of the slightly more boring bits of drilling holes and fitting cables and stuff at the end. So you're welcome to skip this section if you want. And see you next week. So the next stage is to drill pilot holes into the box for mounting the pigtails. So here I've marked them off, made a few mistakes which I've corrected, and I have drilled 2mm pilot holes with my electric drill, and now I'm going to use the hole saw to cut larger holes and then fit the pigtails, which is sitting here, connected to my Raspberry Pi, and then seal the Raspberry Pi into the waterproof box. So I'm using my RTL SDR dongle to line up the USBs so they're all horizontal and looking tidy. Just a little bit of help because it's large. I have to sort of hold this at a weird angle to see them, so that will really help.